And a warm welcome to Jose and Mary from Guatemala. Fantastic.
Hi, hello. How are you? Nice to meet you.
Very good. So representing Mexico, we have Nicholas.
Hi, how are you?
Very good, thank you. Yeah, and they say, how far is Guatemala from Mexico?
It's a 2 hours flight.
Yeah.
It's next to Mexico.
Yeah. Actually, it's a holiday in Mexico today. So we're having a late breakfast. So I'm gonna get off the video. Hi, Vern. Hi, everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, guys.
And then you're having a fiesta later on.
Yeah, it's Constitution Day.
Very good. Very good. Well, our Queen Elizabeth, celebrated 70 years on the throne yesterday.
Wow. How old is she?
70.
70 years. She's just 2.5 years off being the longest reigning monarch of all time. Not just in the UK, but anywhere in the world. She came to the throne in 1952 when her father passed away. And she's 95 at the moment, 96 this year, and still going strong.
Awesome.
Wow.
Much to the dismay of her son, who would wish that she got on with and passed the buck, because he's going to probably be about mid-80s by the time he picks up the job. So
how old is her son?
Charles, he's 95, he's oldest. I think he's about 95, about mid-70s, yeah.
He's 72, going 73 this year.
Is he? Thank you. Thank you very much for corresponding. Okay, great to have everyone on the call. Today's call, we're going to give more over to marketing, and really, I think we've just got to make sure we've got Andy and Don on the call today to marketing. Before that, we'll have a quick debrief on the webinar that Vern did last week on the 2nd of February at 2:22 p.m. Some really good feedback from the way that was pulled together, how professional it came across. Obviously, we had our own DJ on board as well from San Francisco. So that's brilliant. That was pulled together. So we'll quick debrief on that. Then we'll pick up on the marketing piece. Then we'll just make sure just a bit around understanding the royalties for the program. Just want to make sure that everyone is updated on that. And then we have time, just opportunity for Q&A. Before we just go into that as well, one of the other actions from 2 weeks ago was just looking at the whole of the application form as well. I know Mark, Fenner, myself, and Bill just had a little look at that, and we've gone backwards and forwards. A bit later on, I'll just share what we think just gives it a bit more rigor in terms of somebody who wants to really put their expression of interest to join the program, but we don't want to be too rigorous that puts people off. I'm just looking at can't be bothered to do that. It's just too much to answer. So it's getting the balance right. So we'll just check in with you around that. But
and hey, Neil, if we can, because I've got Mike on, and the focus of today was the marketing. Andy, the system just stirred up a pot among.
I heard.
Yeah, no, it was a shit show of angst and just mess and claims of bad service and all kinds of stuff. So I just want to get that addressed really quick and fixed. I've got Mike on. We think Abby created the forum like 2 years ago. Cameron may have just, when he was, putting up sites for you guys, like real quick. I mean, we had to add 4 sites 2 days before the thing. I think he just replicated over the forum. So what we want to do is just have a single form, because it's not like we're going to get, God, we'd love to get 1,000 applications, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Most of it's going to be your local efforts. But we want to just create a new form today. If you could give us exactly the fields that you would like.
Yeah.
And then everyone's application will come to me and Mike so that we see them. I want to see them all coming in. and then we'll forward it to the right coach. And then we'll be able to track it all in one place and the like, and be able to do reports, because the coach organization says they have zero bandwidth right now on the HubSpot side. So I didn't want to take up too much of Mike's time. If you guys would just, do you have a list of the changes you wanted, what you wanted added to the application? Neil?
Just one sec. I think this is pretty much what we got to. So some of it's already on there. You know, that's fairly straightforward. And then at the moment, it only asks you for revenues up to 2020. So it's just changing that. So it's 2019, 2020, 2021. And then just thinking, what are your anticipated revenues for the year ahead? So it's just that. And I think then your build, Mark, would be quite useful to, you know, actually, what are your 3-year revenue growth goals as well? So
Yeah, I want to get a sense of what their vision is for 3 years, but yeah.
So let's go back. I'm trying to think, you know, on our CEO boot camp, you know, because we're trying to really target attracting the same folks. We got a guy with a $500 million company, kind of like McKeel, that's looking at coming to the boot camp in Lake Tahoe. We don't ask for past revenues. Do you guys think that's, you know, we're trying to make this as frictionless as possible. And I often find folks have a hard time wanting to pull that stuff together. We just ask what their current revenue is and what their big, hairy, audacious goal is. And we can tell from, you know, what that is. It's like the old Birthing of Giants application. I was really looking for their vision. And if I didn't think it was big enough, it's like, hey, they're probably not going to fit in it. And to add to it, I thought everyone said, hey, and that's what we publicized for the webinar is, hey, do you see a path to 100 million in revenue or valuation? So that's the main thing I wanted to ask the coaches is
I'm
I
fine
would
with that, Vern.
take off the past revenue. I'd just like to know current revenue and number of employees. And we've not had any CEOs yet have a problem giving us that on the CEO boot camp. What's your thoughts, everyone?
I'm good with it, Vern. Because the BHAG is really what I'm most interested in. I was framing it around a 3-year, but the BHAG question is just as good, just as powerful.
Or I was thinking, you know, do you see a path to 100 million or not? Yeah, let's get rid of the 219 and 2020. Yeah, current, and that way it becomes an evergreen form.
Yeah.
And then I think number of employees, because that really gives me a sense more of their scope than anything,
Right.
As much as even revenue.
So current revenue, BHAG, number of employees, and then get rid of how many employees you anticipate hiring.
Yeah, well, what do you guys think? Neil, do you think it's critical?
Sometimes you just get a different perspective on, you know, employees and the size of the organization from that, as opposed to necessary revenues. So you get some organizations that are going to be taking on huge amounts of people in a short amount of time. So that could give you maybe a bit more insight as to where they're coming from.
I think some of the commercial real estate firms we could attract are hiring out many more subs than they have employees.
Yeah, and you're right. They do get confused by that question.
Yeah.
For sure. I just think if I know their current revenue, their number of employees, and what is their future growth plan, and then I put in parentheses BHAG. Not everybody, most people know what a big, hairy, audacious goal is, and it's that open-ended question that gives us kind of a sense. And then I think you as partners, if you're given that along with the right contact information, I think you're happy to follow up with them anyway, right? Even if it's not for the 20,000, hey, you're happy to talk to them about leading a planning session or something, right?
Yes,
Or-
of course.
Yeah.
Or right,
Definitely.
or you'll pivot them to a workshop or, whatever is your other whole set of offerings.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think about the question about their executive team, Vern?
Where's that? Who are the key?
I just find that their ability to scale is so much dependent on, do they have a strong, or do they have the makings of a strong leadership team? So that's
Well-
one of my key questions. Who's around you?
But wouldn't that be something you'd want to get on the phone with them rather than I
Good.
was looking at the 20,000 small, Rick Sapio, Mark has been forwarding me all the 20,000 small business application emails he's been receiving for Dallas. And
Sure.
that application is quite simple.
Yeah, another thing to
And it's,
consider here.
that application's at startups too. I mean, those are startups where we're scale ups.
Right, but I think it's like the net promoter score. How many people want to fill out a 10-point questionnaire versus
Yeah.
us
They-
just
Yeah,
get their interest and get them on the phone.
that was what I was going to bring up, is that you're balancing also a marketing, marketing strategies in here. If you set the bar too high, you may not get people to fill it out.
Yeah, I do though, like Kareen's question, when was the company founded? I think people do like to list that. I
It
think
gives you a
that's-
sense if they've been around for a while.
Yeah, you got it. I think that's a good one. And I don't know what to say on the country region. I think if they just list their city and country, I wouldn't put region. I wouldn't know what to answer
Great.
there. I think, Andy, it's a unique Canadian thing, the Atlantic region, but if people tell us their city and country, we're going to know who to refer them to.
Yeah. What about state?
You could put city, state.
Yeah.
Just there.
Okay.
The one thing that we do add though is their assistant's name and email. That we found is very helpful on the CEO Bootcamp application. Don't you think, Mike?
Yes. That's
Yeah.
helpful.
Because that's often who we
Hey.
assistant name and email. All right. So I would take away how many employees do you anticipate in the next 12? Because by the way, we're hoping in this program we exceed what they thought. And like you said, Craig, it's a confusing question often with folks that are using a lot of contractors and the like.
Okay.
Um,
But Mark, what's your thinking behind this one then?
Behind what? The employees?
Yeah.
no, the leadership
team.
team question.
Who's in line to be number two? What was
Well,
your?
I just want to, I think Vern's right. I'm comfortable asking that in the question when I talk to him.
Okay.
But my question is just who's around them. I mean, startups are different than scale ups. The scale ups, they've got to have at least one or two, I have found, kind of members to build upon in that executive suite. And so many times they're surrounded by brother and sister-in-laws and family members, and they need to really start pruning. So, but maybe that's better handled in a phone discussion. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure I'd know what to put there. How to answer that question. Yes, I'm having a leadership team of 8.
Right.
We could maybe ask what's the size of your leadership team? Because we are, Neil, you ran into that. Some of the companies had 5. I don't know. I'm in favor of less versus more questions.
Yeah, but that does give you a sort of view in terms of how many like they'd bring to from their organization.
Yeah. What about Mark? Is that maybe?
Yeah, I think that's a good question.
recommended?
I'm almost more interested. Do they have a strong number 2? Do you have at least one strong number two on your executive team?
That question necessary on an application?
Yeah.
Like, does it matter to us today?
Not if we're fighting to get it filled.
Yeah,
If we
that's where
have
I'm
an
right now.
overabundance, I think it does.
Yeah. Agreed, right? So it depends where we are. I see it.
Yeah. You know, if we're fighting to get it filled, quite frankly, I don't care if they fill anything on this thing.
That's Mark.
But
That's
we got
kind of
20
our
people that
point.
want in, and we're sorting.
Then you
But
put two
I do
tables.
think asking a few things does make it an application. I mean, I had a situation on CEO boot camp the other day. This Ashley, I think Mike, you may have seen it, and she really was a startup. And it's like, I emailed her back. We're really not the program for you. And and she was appreciative of that. I gave her some other, directions to take. But I mean, it was purely a startup. Like they had just launched in January. And it was her. And it's like, yeah, don't think.
But if you keep it the simple question, what's the size of your leadership team? We know the current revenues. I would take out the 2022 anticipated revenues and just say, what are your growth plans? And maybe in brackets, your BHAG.
Right.
Your growth goals, or in brackets, your BHAG, however you want to define it.
Yep.
I think you can, and then you can take most of the other ones, I think, out.
Cool. Is everyone good with that? Can you
I'm
take
good with
out that
that.
anticipated revenues? We'll just have them answer current. And what they normally do, like one of the applications from Australia, their 2022, because of their fiscal year ends June 30th, he said 600 million. Now, I don't care detail, what that means. It's big enough.
Yeah, I think there is merit.
Yeah.
In the sort of the barriers to growth, and just have them think, and that doesn't take them too long. Just to
No, but you know what? Guess what, Neil? Mike, how many CEO boot campers have paid $20,000 that we send an email to ask them what are their 3 constraints? How many of them respond?
Very few.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
And
look,
if
they've
do,
already
it's
paid.
last minute.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what? Their attitude is, and I've got to that point as well. It's a little bit like how Jeff Bezos was on his weekly meeting. He's like, all right, I know I sent everybody the contract yesterday. I also am guessing most of you didn't read it. So let's take 15 minutes now and read it. So I just now do that at the beginning of the CEO bootcamp. It's even like the less assignments they have to do up front. We do have them do a detailed assessment. We're adding the cash flow story, those things. And what's the response rate on the assessment, Mike?
100%.
Yeah. So just so you guys know, we have similar experience signing up a group of 8 essentially companies. They're paying 20 grand. It's not the whole 60 for the year, but it's a comparable amount. And we've really learned what they're willing to tell us, what they're willing to give us up front, what they're willing to fill out. They all are taking the time to fill out the detailed assessment. And that's been helpful for me to have those reports to kick off. And then when I see them, I have them just, while they're there, take 15 minutes and think through what are your top 3 constraints. And then we actually have them share it as a group.
Very good. And I think you've always got the opportunity to, once you've got the expression of interest form, because obviously we want to get as many expressions of interest as possible, but also there's a bit of rigor to get onto this program. Then you've got the opportunity to go into a deeper dive. And, in terms of bit later on around that. So with that, what's the action here? Is that to go send that now to
well,
Mike?
Email that to me, Neil. Okay. I want to go ahead and just wordsmith it.
Yeah. Okay.
So Mike doesn't have to, and then I'll just send it to Mike, and he and I already talked that our goal was to get a new form in HubSpot, and then I'll communicate with Cameron getting it linked to the landing pages.
Okay.
Which really comes back. Go ahead, Mark.
It was Andy here. I believe that the way your website's linked, once it's updated in HubSpot, it'll automatically update on the website because it's a HubSpot form embedded on the website.
Mike cannot find it. We think Abby put it up 2.5 years ago. We can't get a hold of her. We can't find it. And Caroline doesn't know where it is.
Okay.
Andy, once we get the updated form that Neil's completing, we'll get it up on the website and we'll get it rolling. So
Yeah.
no worries.
Yeah, we just found it was better for us to start over
Okay.
than
Good.
trying to fix what we couldn't find.
All right. Is there anything else for Mike while he's on the call?
I do
No.
have one question. So these forms are going to go to yourself and then they're going to be forwarded out to the coaches, are they?
Correct.
So-
And part of what we decided this morning is, Elon Musk wanted to have a completely automated factory. And then he started making cars and he found out the technology was the constraint. And so he quickly put up tents and brought in some people and said, hey, let's just have some humans do it. And that was this here. Look, at 150 cities or more than 22 cities, yes, over the next 3 months, we can work out more of an automated path. But right now, given what we anticipate the stream being, we want to keep this simple. And I want to see every one of them as well. It's kind of that intel. And so just like the CEO bootcamp, we have that well in place. The application comes to Mike and I, and then we'll send it out to the coach. Is that okay?
So then,
everybody?
yeah, that sounds good. So to what degree do you get involved with the coach to help decide, is this a right fit or not?
Zero. Look,
Okay.
the other thing I said on the call this morning is, because they're worried, John and Kristen brought up both the service to you guys, obviously, you're the customers to the coaching organization. And again, we apologize for the glitch on sending the applications. I think James got some for Ireland or vice versa. Brian got some I was just glad we got some. Neil, I think you said you got one.
I got like 5.
Oh, you got 5. Yeah. So I think we got some good response to the webinar. But what I shared with the coaching organization is you guys are some of our most experienced coaching partners. I'm going to make an assumption that your follow-up with the 5 you choose for your program is going to be first class, that you know how to run a good event. Many of you have been doing workshops.
Yeah.
So this isn't a new thing for, you guys to handle, enrolling 5 companies.
Got it.
But
What
do any of you guys disagree with that?
is what I've got back from Rebecca from Daniel's team, the participants from Wednesday's webinar, as well as the recording. So straight after today's call, I'll send that out to everybody. What I've been able to do here is just highlight in yellow anybody on the call who was from the UK. I've already had a call this afternoon with Ross Baston, who is very excited about joining up, wanting to get onto the program. So if we got all the others in yellow on that, that's one cohort filled out, which is spot on as well. So unfortunately, not everybody is registered by what region or what city they're in. So you might have to go and see if you recognize the domain name. Obviously, if it's com, it isn't helpful, but you've got some that are here from Canada and other parts of the world. I think there was a couple from Ireland, a couple more from Ireland, Brian, as well, that you haven't got so far over and above that one lead you've got. So I'll send that out straight after.
Go back where the column says referral. Is that meant that they did fill out an application?
Sorry, just shut that down.
Yeah.
Where are you looking?
Daniel, are you on?
I'm here.
So maybe that's something for future webinars. People are able to register and they don't have to put in a location.
Yeah. And also, Vern, Don had a link that he could send out to his prospects as well, not just from your marketing to your database, but I imagine, Don, you've sent out to James and Mark. This came from your link, and you can see that on there. They've signed up.
That would have been the one that Don and I both used. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. But let
And
me
then
go
the
back
question,
to Daniel. Daniel,
Yes.
kind of clarify, they don't have to put a location in just to register for a webinar?
They don't, but I now have some info connected to my HubSpot, so I could get that database and get all the data with some info. I could get their phone number, I could get everything.
Is that just a push of the button for you pretty quick, or is it hard?
So it is a push of a button. My problem is that we installed it last week. We still don't know how to use it. So it probably take me 2 days, but I could get it done by Wednesday.
All right. All right.
Okay.
But I think in the future, we do a webinar because usually even on my weekly insights, I ask for first, last name, and city, because that way we know how to direct promotions for your guys' workshops and things like that. We do need one piece of location in order then to be most helpful to the coaches in the database.
Okay.
So,
by the way, just one thing regarding the webinar, Neil. I recommend we put the webinar it's in Vimeo, but we put it in a landing page with information of the program.
Yeah.
It will be much better experience to get people to see the webinar and then go and sign up.
Yeah, agreed.
well, but hold on. So let's be real precise on that. So you think we could maybe just have Cameron embed it? Maybe it could take the replace, Neil, of where we had the you and me video that I can't stand how I look because I was wearing glasses back then anyway. Can we put it there on the
I
website?
think that's where we'll put the recording you did a couple of weeks ago. That's just
Okay.
short, sharp, to the point. And then I think, to Daniel's point, we then build out a landing page. If you want to find more information about how it works, what's in it for you, listen to Vern, just explaining the whole program. And that just makes a lot more sense.
All right. Okay.
All
So
right.
that's a Cameron thing to do.
So I recommend, like on the landing where it says find your city, we could put a button there, watch a full explanation of the program, a video, like a 10-minute video, full explanation. They click there and they go there.
Yeah, it will need a bit of editing. I can't edit it because it's on Vimeo, because we don't necessarily need Bill's kind of DJing. We just need to get to the absolute, this is what the program is about, which is ostensibly about the 10 minutes that you really got into the key thrusts of what it's about, who's it for, and what the next steps are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here seems to be the complexity. Updating each of your landing pages and let me make a little side note. I think we got several for Vancouver because I specifically mentioned that the city champion was Ken Sim, and he's likely going to be the mayor and that kind of thing. I maybe it's just my imagination, but I think that's why having a well-known city champion, I think, is helpful to attracting folks to want to come to this program. And I think that drove several folks who said, yes, I want to be a part of that Vancouver one.
Any other feedbacks before we get on to Andy and Don's session from the webinar last week? Any other observations or things that we need to be thinking about?
If I could summarize, so the webinar is going to be where we can refer people to watch it. Is it on our website, or we have some other way to refer them?
It'll be a landing page on the 20,000 Scaleups website, Craig.
Okay, very good.
Where I think we have a complexity is continually updating the city landing pages. It almost makes me think that it's much better because you guys, I assume you all have websites, and you have teams that keep yours updated if you're going to host a workshop or something. Should we be pointing people to your site where you guys can then update the city champion? Because what I'm worried about is, oh, we got a city champion. Please, can somebody add that to the landing page on the 20,000 Scaleups? Oh, I've now picked out the location. And I don't envision the registrations coming through us. for this first pilot program. I could see it down the road, but that's where we're running into, we don't want to be the constraint. What do you guys want?
Yeah,
Right
I would
now-
prefer to have them, pointed back to our individual landing pages. That way we can direct our organic traffic to that landing page as well. Like our customers, our prospects.
But a landing page that we maintain, that's what I'm worried about is.
No, a landing page, you give me the template, my team will maintain it.
I agree.
You do.
I agree also.
Yeah, because by the way, that aligns with what we're going to be teaching February 22nd, distributed leadership, swarm creativity. This is the anti-fragile way to scale. Right now, we're very fragile because we're relying on somebody being available and updating that stuff. And that's what kind of the organization threw up over on Friday.
Okay.
So
Thanks.
the one thing with that though is, one of the things that we tried to address as well, Vern, was wanting to have the application form filled out on your website. Because now if you distribute it, if it is on everyone's own landing page, that's great. I'm all in favor of that. But then if somebody comes to my website to learn about the program, to send them over to your website to fill out the application form, you got a disconnect there from a customer.
No. I think you guys should have the application on. My preference is that, look, it always was the intention, as Neil and Anna did it in the pilots, that you guys would you would round up the first 5 for the program.
I agree.
This webinar as a general to the database, and we will do more mailings to our general database for this program. It's that important. The applications that come to us, we'll just forward to you, and you enter in your database, and people that you're interested through, Andy, I'm guessing your process, I would prefer is sent to the coach's landing page
on their own website.
On their own website. Because
I agree.
Because Andy,
I agree, because we need to do our own organic marketing as well, and sending them to our local website is what's going to make the most sense. And there's going to be other cohorts too. So as we do cohort 2, 3, 4, 5, being able to manage that locally is going to be fast and efficient.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are we agreeing here?
I think we need the template for
pages. You give us a template and then we modify it based on the uniqueness of our program, dates, venue, etc.
Language.
What's that?
And language.
Language.
Because we have to translate it. Yeah.
Exactly. You got it. Good point. Absolutely good point.
Good point. Okay.
Now, Andy, how does that tie into what because your conversation with Kristen and the team Friday was like, oh my God, there's so much that has to be done in the integration of our HubSpot and our landing pages and all of that. And that's what, created chaos over the weekend.
So that's what we really tried to make it very simple, and we would manage those landing pages on the Scaling Up website, which we were able to do and do it very efficiently and quickly. And then
Andy, they sure didn't hear it that way.
No, and what I think what tipped it over the edge, and I apologize, Mike, is you're requesting the changes in the questions on the form. It was just one too many thing, but because we had Cameron we were able to get into the back end and just update the landing pages ourselves, and no work on Carolyn, no work on Cameron's, no work on anyone's part. We were just going in and doing that. We're doing it with Mark Fenner right now. But if no problem doing it on your own websites, but one of our challenges, one of our objectives was to make this as simple as possible, that a coach could just say, yes, do it. Here's a checklist of information you need to provide us as a coach, and we will update everything. You don't even have to deal with it at all, because working with a number of clients, client partners through Tulip Media, one of the things that the ladies always run into is, your web guy can't get it updated. Well, you're all going to have to update your own websites if this is what you're saying. We won't be able to update it for you. If not, we can turn, like Mark Fenner's, we can turn it on overnight on the Scaling Up site.
So maybe I'm wrong about.
Well, it makes
I
it
don't
would
think
make
you're
this
wrong. I think we
offering
need to
almost. I'd have to change the offering because it's not what we had built it for. We built it for doing it on the Scaling Up site very quick and efficiently and turning it on overnight for coaches as soon as we got all the information, the checklist of information. And it was not going to take anyone's time. And I think that might be what Kristen and I know Mike, the rest of you is, we worked through Cameron on that, and they may not be, obviously they're not privy to what we discussed, and we just didn't want to bother anybody because we knew we had it covered. So we didn't get them involved because it won't take any of their time.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
But it got all.
Yeah. And I asked after call with Neil on Friday, asked for some updated questions, and that's when it just, no. I get the email saying we're not doing anything till we talk on Monday with Vern. And I said, no, okay, no problem. I didn't mean to ruffle any feathers. It was just some updates to the form.
All right. Well, come around full circle. It does make sense if all the information is there, and if Andy, is part of your proposal for each of the coaches, is, hey guys, as you have the information, they send it to your team and you guys just update it. That way there's it's going to be fast.
It's going to be fast. Now, one thing coaches can do is if you want to update your own website, you can, the wording, what you'll be able to, when you buy into the program, the story branded landing page, you can recreate that on your own website if you wanted to. But this is a way I wanted a way that a coach could, Craig, you could say, okay, let's do it in Indianapolis. You check the box, you sign your name, and there's a list of about 5 or 6 things we need, like bios and pictures and so on, and we'll turn it on for you overnight. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to involve your web guys.
Why don't we now just pick up, Andy and Don, your perspectives? I think it's a good time now just to bring in your sort of proposal to the team, and then see how that goes, and then what are the recommendations that come out of that. We think we'll have a better view for all of us, and how that's, the practicalities of making this happen.
And I could show you how we did it for our own one on the scalingup.com website. Okay. And then, so I'll bring you through. We'll make this very quick as a highlight. And by the way, guys, what I want to do is just present what we put together for the coaches. It is completely optional. If you're interested, what we'd like to do is to get all interested parties. We're just going to hit the highlights. All interested parties on a Zoom call later this week to go through it in detail. And then if you're good with it, sign on the dotted line, get us the information. We can have your landing pages up and running for you early, mid next week, and your PPC, everything running for you. So I'll share my screen. I'll go over this, like I said, fairly quickly. I'll share emails as well in the chat here in a moment. And if you're interested, I can email this to you. There's no way to transmit it through Zoom, but basically what we're looking at doing is it's a 4-part process. So there's 4 deliverables. One is for every region, we're going to do a quick keyword analysis, because this is the language of Google, how they search, to find out, to come up with a keyword strategy in your local marketplace, because it does change region to region. In there, we'll also do what we call competing PPC. So Mark, in Dallas, we're going to add, for instance, in your PPC advertising, we're going to add the 10,000 small business program from Goldman Sachs, so that when somebody searches that, your website's going to come up above theirs. So with that keyword strategy, we are then going to create a landing page, which I'll show you an example in a moment. We are the company. We have a few StoryBrand certified guides in the company, and they've spent a lot of time creating this landing page, which I'll show you in a moment. So we'll create that And the way we have it set up is that we'll turn it on the scalingup.com website, and we'll turn it on very quickly for you. And it is story brand optimized, which what that means is it's less information, but it's very specific and it's formulaic on how the information is doled out to people with the sole objective of converting them, getting them to take action, which is to apply now. So it's a very, it's almost like a formulaic approach to making a website convert traffic to people who take action. And then from there, to fill people to put people onto that site, we're going to run a localized pay-per-click advertising program for 3 months, 90 days. And in there, we're going to target people that are searching for your competing programs. We're going to target people in many ways to anyone who does branded searches will be high on the list. Meaning if they remember that Vern's doing something, but they can't remember what it's called, and they Google scaling up in Dallas, Mark's page will come up top of the Google rankings. Or if it was 20,000 scaling or something like that, they can't quite remember, you'll pop up high. We'll also find the opportunities for some targeted organic searches and do pay-per-click for that. So that'll be turned on very quickly as well. And then also, Don, do you want to comment on the LinkedIn? Because this is your engine here.
Yeah, so the power of LinkedIn and community LinkedIn is to be able to connect with people is one thing, but it's also able to drive in-mail campaigns to get direct to the consumer, or in this case, direct to the prospects to actually get them engaged in the 20,000 scale ups. And we have an engine that's proven to work that at a faster rate than it would be than, for example, pay-per-click. It's more of a longer time. This one much more is a quick output. The idea is to take leveraging LinkedIn with a strategy that we'll discuss on Friday, Andy and I, if you guys want to look at it, and gals can look at it, and then eventually convert that to qualified lead. Either we close it for you or you close it yourself. Say, hey, Mark Fenner, here's this person, they're ready to talk. Please call them and add them to your campaign.
Yeah, and it works.
By the way, I might make one comment. Our experience is LinkedIn is a spectacular. It's really a much better source for these kind of leads than the other avenues.
So by doing the combination of the two, you're going out and you're hunting here and you're almost fishing here. So, you're capturing the people who are out searching for something through the PPC advertising, but the LinkedIn is outbound. And just as an example, Don turned mine on last week, and then the very first hour had a really highly qualified lead that came through it who's applying for the program. So it does work. Now that's not to set the expectation. That's not normal apparently, but it happened to work really well. So this whole program, here's the checklist. Like again, making it simple. We need bios, your photos, testimonials, 3 of them. We need your company's logos or your coaching company's logos, venue for your launch, the launch dates, the name of and URL of your largest competing program. Because for us, we have that Babson College program in our local area that we are aggressively marketing against. So when people search their program, ours pops up first in Google searches. And then we need LinkedIn access to turn on the engine. The cost for it it's a 90-day program, $3,000 a month or $8,500 all in total. And it includes in there a $500 a month PPC budget. It doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're targeting only Dallas, it's a good amount. It'll work for what we want. You're targeting only Denver, or only your region, very hyper localized. It'll work. And then you also do need to buy LinkedIn Sales Navigator for the engine. Now, with the landing page, so right now, this is the Scaling Up website. You guys can all see that, right?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the Scaling Up website. It's exactly as Vern has it. Now, when somebody clicks on your page right now, let's say they go into Dallas, this is what it looks like, and it goes straight to the contact form, which this is what I believe works really nicely for the team as well, Vern, because for people that don't buy into the program, it's still going to go to here, and it's the same contact form that'll appear on everybody's city landing page once it's changed in HubSpot. But so we have it set up in the back end of Scaling Up that when you buy into the program, we'll set up a landing page. There's going to be a page that intercepts between the main 20,000 Scaleups page, and you click on the city. Instead of going to this, it's going to go to this first. So this is the story branded landing page for 20,000 Scaleups in Atlantic, Canada, and it's on the scalingup.com website. So, and again, we set this up. It's no time on Kristen's or anybody's part. So this is all story branded, and the messaging is very specific to getting people to take action. By the way, this is the thumbnail, but it's actually your new video in there. It goes through, talks about the coaches. So this is where we need to personalize to you. Again, story brand methodology. It's 3 simple steps to doing business with you through this program. There are 3 testimonials here, your investment, and at the bottom, your venue and the dates of your venue. So that's it. And it's kind of a, bit of the main way to get off that is to hit apply now. And then it goes to the form. So this all gets updated right on the scalingup.com website. And then once the 90 days is done, because if we start mid-February till mid-May, once the 90 days is done, what we'll do is turn off the LinkedIn and the PPC. We'll leave this on until the venue happens, but then you don't want to be advertising an event that happened, 3 weeks ago. So this will come off and it'll revert back to what it was before once your launch dates come. So
and you guys have a place for the champion to the extent you have one of those, and
we can absolutely, for sure.
Storyboard.
Yeah. So in this area in Atlantic, Canada, we're trying to get like the premier, the premier champion that we're trying to land. So we haven't put him in here yet, but we will work that into the landing page. Yeah, for sure. And if there's a video testimonial, like we're actually updating a video for our own here, which is, it's actually an endorsement video from Ron Lovett. Everybody knows him. He was my former client. So we're replacing the video here with a mashup of Vern and Ron.
Okay. Oh, that's why you wanted the raw footage.
Yeah.
For the video. So let me ask you a question on the form that you're creating. How does that interact with our HubSpot? Because I think that was concerning Caroline and Carolyn and Mike.
Yeah. So once they hit apply here, it goes to this is the HubSpot form. So once they update it in HubSpot, it'll update it on our own. It'll update it on everyone's. So there's no difference. So this is a HubSpot form embedded onto the website.
All right.
So it's not our form.
And right now it's going to be our manual process. I and Mike will get it, and then we'll just forward it rather than trying to.
So there'd be no difference here. Yeah, there'd be no difference in this case because it's the same form. It's just appearing on a different page.
Got it. Cool.
So yeah.
So Andy, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So all the traffic then will be captured in the Scaling Up HubSpot account. So if I've got a prospect that visits that site several times, I'm not going to see that detail. That's all going to be, the only thing I'll see is if they register.
If they apply.
If they applied.
Or if they apply, if they apply.
Yeah. So that's where, I want to make sure we do it in a way that works for everybody. This is my wish, Vernon. This might have been part of the problem because I was asking Carolyn for this. I said, is there a way if they fill out the form on Atlantic Canadian website, or they fill out the form on the Dallas page where it's all Dallas, why could we not send it to you guys? So yourself, Vern, and Mike can see them, but also send it directly to Mark instantly. Like, why couldn't that happen? And that's what she was trying to look into. And I might have caused some extra work there that wasn't needed.
And that's the problem. We'll just manually forward. But Mark, you're asking a different question. I mean, you'll know everyone who applies.
Well, my question is more around branding because I'm doing my campaigns too. And, you know, I've got clients I've been nurturing over the last several years through my HubSpot account. I don't know that I want to give all that historical tracking up. It would be nice for me to see. Plus, it'd be nice to have them on my website because there could be other things they're interested in as well.
And Mark, if I can intervene, there's a way to have both. We can discuss this on Friday without actually damaging the relationship we're building here with Scaling Up, but there's a way to have both. The organic traffic on your site could be done through Google Analytics, or in your case, you can have the hook straight to your HubSpot, including the HubSpot of Scaling Up. So both could be done.
Yeah, and I think too, if somebody applies here, I don't think you're sharing your historical data on your own HubSpot, because somebody applies here, it's a net new person coming into the system. It's going to Scaling Up. They forward it on to you. It's a net new person to you as well.
Because
So
I
maybe
know we
some
don't have any analytics, Mark, to like if they haven't given us their name and email address, Andy, there's no way to know who they are, right? A cookie might be able to be put on their machine that then keeps 20,000 Scaleups in front of them. But I don't.
This is where the power of LinkedIn comes in.
You're sending any of your contacts to us, except if they apply.
Well, if we're going to go to my LinkedIn, and I need to understand your program better, but I've done a lot of work in LinkedIn. I've been nurturing my LinkedIn networks through Sales Navigator for 3 years, probably 4 years now. So, so I just got to rationalize that. Do I run 2 landing pages? So I think that's the detail. I don't want to dominate this call.
Yeah, and I think that's
the detail I think we need to get figured out.
Take offline with Dawn. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. But Vern, just to answer your question, the power of LinkedIn, we capture emails, we capture phone numbers, and we capture the LinkedIn account. Minimum, those 3 areas. And that's gold.
But it's not to our site.
It can be sent to your site. Yes, that's what we're saying. It can.
To these landing pages.
Yeah, because your HubSpot, we can directly send it to your HubSpot.
If somebody clicks from their LinkedIn account to this landing page, that's automatically captured?
Yep. The next step we need to discuss it on Friday with folks, but then we send it, the webhook to HubSpot, which is Scaling Up. And in this case, Mark's, same time.
But is there an automatic tag so we can just search HubSpot for this campaign?
Yep, it'd be 20,000 Scaling Up Dallas, for example.
Because that was the thing that Carolyn threw up all over in terms of that was like, she billed as if it was a full-time job.
It can be, and we've mastered that. And Andy and I spent some time on this, but over the last couple of years, we mastered that figure of speech LinkedIn opportunity to send to HubSpot, Pipedrive, or Salesforce.
No. But then letting the coach know that these are all the people that hit their page.
Yeah, so don't take it too much time. Mark Fenner has a HubSpot, we all do, HubSpot with Scaling Up. Can't see anything, but we have something going there. Mark Fenner has his own personal account as well, HubSpot, so as some of us. So the hook goes to those board areas. As soon as somebody connects on LinkedIn, or we'll find a way to do it at PPC as well, it goes right straight to your HubSpot, Scaling Up HubSpot and Mark's HubSpot, saying, hey, this customer, this suspect has accepted your connection, or has clicked your view, or as something. So those tags are all there to be sent to HubSpot.
But Mark's, how do we communicate what's on ours to Mark?
Well,
you're saying, hey, it'll automatically go to Mark. So Mark, don't worry, you're not going to not capture those.